Peace, peace, peace. Greetings to all. To all. Good day, good night, moms. Y'all may have to excuse the wind. I feel like you'll be able still to hear me though. Let's give honor to Source, Creator, Most High, whatever your higher power you feel you want to give the gratitude. Man, I'm in one of my favorite places right now. This one of the most important things that I realized, like, to help balance out life, that really has helped me balance out life, is really showing up for myself, and knowing that, like, just my thing. The most important time or moment of the day is really with myself. I ain't even gonna hold, you know what I'm saying? Be honest. That being said, I'm gonna give y'all a beautiful view of what I'm looking at currently. This is my view right now. I'm gonna let y'all soak that in, then get back to the video, because that may have helped somebody today. But just even getting to where I'm going, I always just like to be authentic, just about just like before I even do my videos. Yo, I cry so much, or just like one of them. Some call it an ugly cry, but it was really a frustration or angry cry. And it was like, a lot of aggression and anger has been coming up because I've spoken about, like, a lot of repressed, I myself have been dealing with a lot of repressed emotions, a lot of repressed anger, a lot of repressed resentment, a lot of things dealing with my own journey that I've been reflecting on. And sometimes there's even no alarm when the shit comes up or when it comes out. That could be something triggering, just simple. I'm talking about, some people, some of us have, what do you call that? We get anxiety, not anxiety, but, what do you call that? When you're driving, what do you call that? The people, you know how some of us get angry because this person ain't driving the way we are, moving, and whatever it is, whatever they call it. I forgot what they call it. It'll come to me later. But it's sort of like reflects that in a way. Like, some moments I have just like this spurt of, this flood of emotion. It's like this water, like the waves, like this flood of emotion will come out of nowhere. And it's like, man, it really does. It can hit you with everything that's going on right now. And what I'm going to get into today, again, it just dives more deeper into me learning my emotions and seeing how important the pain from my experiences illuminates a lot of, that emotion being a gateway to a more peaceful and prosperous, or a more harmonious life. So that being said, the things that I'm going to discuss has a lot to do with this new book that I received, which I'm grateful for. Shout out to you for the gift. And this book that I'm going to share with you speaks to, I'm going to read some things, but get into the topics how it relates to me. And this book is The Body Keeps a Score, Brain, Mind, and Body. I think I tried to put mind and body together, in the healing of trauma. And you can pause the video if you like. It's also in my community center. I posted, but you can pause this video. I honestly feel within myself that this shit will help everybody. everybody that has either experienced some type of trauma, whether in a relationship and or not, even people if you haven't, like, this is my thing, even if you haven't, there's still something you can learn from people who you will even attract, such as myself or other people who have experienced to the depth some type of trauma related, whether in, you know, again, how it talks about mind, body, mind, and your brain. This one thing that I didn't even realize until coming to the self-awareness, really, like, trauma is not only just stored in the body, but how the brain process. And I'm not even 2 pages in, bro. I'm not even but 2 pages in to what I'm, like, literally finna dive into. And it's amazing because it talks about relationships. And this chapter, again, I gotta get more into it, reading more into depth. The reason I was called to this book, or it was calling me, I came across this when I was researching, I think, something related to, like, repressed envy, repressed anger, repressed emotions, a lot of those things. And I was going through this article and this book popped up and I was like, I gotta get this. And I did. And so, that being said, which way is this wind blowing so I can make sure this video, let's see if I position it right here. Yeah, position it right here, then it'll be cool to where the wind, I feel like you guys will hear me though. I'll be able to know after. So yeah, let me see. Just bear with me. Yeah, if I position it right there.
Howdy.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
I know that's right.
No fishing poles?
Nah, just a little studying.
Studying?
And making a video. Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
About what?
Trauma related things, like I talk about a lot of mental health things, childhood traumas, and the book that you know, it talks about, like, the body keeps a score.
Yep.
In your brain, mind and body,
I see.
and healing from trauma. So, you know, people that have, you know, dealt with some type of abuse when they're young and so forth.
Not abuse. Motorcycle wreck. That was trauma. I was in the hospital for 11 weeks.
Wow.
I could have used that book probably.
Hey, go for it. Do you need the name of it?
I'm okay. Now.
Okay. I mean, I don't mind sharing it
This
with you.
was 50 years ago.
Oh wow, 50 years ago?
I was 19.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I love seeing is that you up and moving.
Got to.
I know that's right.
As I know from experience, if I sit around all winter, for example, by spring I can't hardly walk again.
Oh yeah, because the muscles, they'll tighten up. Yeah.
And the joint loses its lubricity.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
And when it bends, it goes snap, 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 snap. It's like, holy hell. So starting about 1st of March, I got to get out and walk and get that work out of it.
That's what's up. That just motivated me. I appreciate that. I mean, like I said, it's beautiful to see you up and walking and moving. Not letting nothing, like, even what that happened, hinder your growth.
Can't.
Oh, that's right.
If you don't stay with it, you're going to lose.
Absolutely.
See ya.
All right, take care.
Enjoy your reading.
All right, you too. Enjoy your walk.
Well, I already am. I'm starting to sweat.
And sometimes I'll be telling myself, like, here I am thinking I went through something, but when I don't know if y'all heard it, but in relations to his experience of his motorcycle accident, I don't know if y'all heard it, I don't know, due to the wind, but it immediately reminded me of my experience with when I was, I believe I was around, I've spoken about this before, when I was like 5 or 6. I know I was in elementary school, and I just feel like the wind is picking up. Let me see. Yeah, it's picking up a lot. Y'all bear with me, because I don't want this video to be windy. Can't let nothing get in the way, just like he said. Y'all bear with me. But again, I'm gonna still talk while I'm doing it. It just reminded me of, again, what I experienced when I was hit by a car, and it really, when I read this and it talks about relationships, it really highlights that part of the relationship what I had with my mother, and just even the people that surrounded me, even the so-called support system. And with that, again, when he talked about the gentleman that I just met, you know, he said it was 50 years ago when he had that motorcycle accident. And he was like, if he doesn't get up and move, you know, it'll lock down, it'll become very painful and so forth. And I'm grateful for that, because it's just like, no matter where we are in life, we all have experienced or endured something, but we have to find a way to either navigate or get through what we're experiencing really without no excuses. And I'm not saying like not feel the emotion, not go through what you need to experience, but that's the beauty of the process, because you'll never come out the same. And him sharing that, again, reminded me of when I got hit by that car, and my mom did not even take me to the hospital. You know, there was no support emotionally, mentally, and so forth, you know, after, you know, the accident, or whatever you want to call it. So that really highlight what I'm going to speak about in the book, about relationships and the trauma-related aspect of that, of even being in places where we really never had a support system that enabled a lot of how could I say, protection, or even feeling safe. So let me see. Y'all bear with me. Patience. I want to find a good area, because I really like being by the water. Beep, beep. I just don't want to. It be so windy. I know where I can go. So, yeah. Definitely, what has helped me through my journey is going out in nature. You know, the silence, the bliss of just being still, man. Really. Because again, we've been around a lot of noise most of our life, a lot of conflict, a lot of back and forth. You know, just a lot of things that really has kept our bodies not really at a place of ease, or, you know, a place of peace. Then I'm starting to realize now how much I desire that, or I take pleasure in that. Like, I need it. It's a necessity. It's a priority. It's vital that I come out here and be with myself, you know, whether before and after a video, to really balance my mind out, my well-being, allowing what needs to come up with my emotions, you know, allowing things to, you know, it really allows me to really face things that I can no longer run from. So that's why I do value, you know, kind of really taking that moment to myself. And it can be a challenge, because a lot of us haven't known how to do that, or a lot of mothers or people who are guardians haven't really had that opportunity to do that. So it's kind of like easy said and done. But I always encourage people to do that. I don't care how it may seem uncomfortable for a lot of people. There goes my water. But you gotta find time for yourself, man, because nobody is going to do it. Nobody's gonna do it. There's always a way. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm in a good spot now, to where the wind ain't gonna be so much. So, okay, let me get right into it. I might remove the glass so y'all can see my eyes. Appreciate the tree. Oh, Lord, I got all bugs already on. Okay, so, I'm just gonna read these things because again, it really may bring a lot of awareness to either what you've experienced, what you're going through, or even to prevent or protect, you know, because the first line talks about this, like to even, you know, protect yourself from trauma or even, you know, going down that road. So it says relationships. Study, and again, receive what resonate. Like, I said this, I'm not really a book person, but on my path, I realized, like, if something is a yearning and I feel like there's typically it's like that uncomfortable or urge, and it don't always got to be uncomfortable. It can be like this knowingness or this light feeling in your heart, like, okay, do I want that? And sometimes doubt can arise and be like, do I need to read that? Should I read that? So forth, blah, 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 blah. Do I know it all? And that's where I had to get at. Like, let me remove the ego and be like, okay, man, it's okay for you to get it and read it. One thing that's unique about me is that I'm the type of person, like, well, when I get a book, this is what I do. I don't start from here. I don't start from the beginning. I don't start from the back or whatever like that. I'll tell you a little something where I remember I applied for my license. And I did some of the most like I don't know who else do this, but I know for me. When I went and applied for, I went to the back of the book first. And then I read certain things to where I was like, okay, this is good enough, I feel. I was confident. I went into that book, and I believe at the time, like, you can only get a certain amount wrong or right on a test to even get your so-called driver's license. And I went in there, man, and I don't think either the first or second try, but either way, the second try, I went in there, and after reading, just going through there, reading from the back page to the front, like certain things, I believe I got so many right that I didn't even have to, I don't want to say like finish it completely, but I just basically got so many right to where I just listened to my intuition. I listened to my inner guidance. And so that's something that uniquely I do. Some people read the book from the front to the back. Some people actually get it and read the back first and so forth. I'm a visionary or visual learner, so I've learned this from when I was younger, just being an artist, and then now becoming more in tune. It's like I'll tell myself, like, set intentions or something, and I'll just open it up, and I just be like, I have no doubt, whatever I open it to is for me. Hey, I know there's some other people out there like that, you know, call it weird, call it whatever, but it's what it is. So, that being said, today I opened a book to, it says relationships. And what is this? Page 212 and 213. So I'm just going to read these things, and I'm probably stop in the midst of it to elaborate more from my own experiences. So again, this talks about relationships. And it says, study after study shows that having a good support network constitutes the single most powerful protection against becoming traumatized. Yo, when I read that first sentence, I was already like, it literally, when I reflect on stuff, I feel like I should be this far ahead of people, or, you know, we feel sometimes we should be this far, or we should already have all these things. But one thing that I am so grateful for right now is that never comparing my journey or my life to anybody else. And before anything, I was expressing to someone, it's like, I'm glad that I learned to honor my emotions. I'm glad I went through my trauma. I'm glad I went through a lot of things to appreciate and give gratitude to the importance of from the unhealed, unhealthy patterns and traumas to now seeing the importance of the emotional intelligence of all of that, to go into the emotional depths of all of it. And I'm like, yo, it really is, it's an honor, because I felt like I should have, at times where, again, due to the miscommunication or the projections of what we should have been as men and how we should act and so forth, or what we should receive or how we should be, or this preconceived notion of just everything societally and so forth. I just realized like how beautiful it is to really be in your own power, stand in your own power, speak your own truth, and really seeing how so much has really reflected back to my self-value, my self-worth, and that value being like now having a more higher standard to valuing peace. Because again, in my childhood, it didn't reflect that. So I relate that now to the polarity of how what I experienced, the relationships that were developed in the past, into now attracting more healthy, holistic, and relationships or partnerships, business-ship that value and honor and respect my value system. Because first, I honor and respect and value that before anybody else, whether they want to accept it or not. That internal acceptance has already happened within me, and being at peace with that. And being at peace with that also brings forth, no matter how insecure someone is, it's just what it is. And so getting back to that, that first sentence like really showed me like how a lot of us, or myself, I didn't have a good support system around me that enabled me to honor my emotions, to be secure within myself as a man or a little boy. Let's start from the little boy. I didn't really have that support system that really encouraged those things, or watered me in a way to be, that which I am now or becoming. So I'm gonna read more into that. Let's see. Safety and terror are incompatible. That wind picking up. And when we are terrified, nothing calms us down like the reassuring voice or the firm embrace of someone we trust. Like, I don't even, like, it's to read the whole page. I'm telling you, just from the second sentence. And this is the thing I feel we've been so disconnected from, to realize, like, yeah, we want the safety and experiences. We want to protect our children and do so much so that they don't experience, like, that's like, I feel like the parents or guardians' worst fear is for their child to even get close or experience something as traumatic, painful, that they went through as a child, or even into what they call adulthood. But that sentence alone says safety and terror are incompatible. And when we are terrified, nothing calms us down like the reassuring voice or the firm embrace of someone we trust. That shit brought up so much for me, to where I realized, like, so much of what I experienced with women young, that being around a verbal abusive environment and never really having that reassuring voice. Now, as I got a certain age, there were certain women that came into my life that played a vital role, because if I had a mother that was yelling, verbally abusive, then the thing that I realized that I longed for in my adulthood was someone, when I faced the childhood traumas or faced the traumas, the thing I would long for is a healthy partner who reflects and speaks to me, in a soft tone, or, in a respectful manner, in a way like that is watering you. Because again, no matter our size or we're adults or whatever, we still hold that inner child. We still have that inner child within us. And so when it says, like, nothing calms us down like a reassuring voice or a firm embrace of someone we trust, I really reflect back, and I realize how much there was never a time where I was embraced by my mother. And what I mean by that is, like, I'm not saying I never really got, what I'm saying is like a hug or being embraced, being accepted for my emotions, whether emotional outbursts as a little boy, whether, me trying to express, because at a time I was so, due to her traumas and her experiences, it also talks about in here that how naturally someone you experience abuse with, even as a child, that in that danger, you can cling to that abuser. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so here we are, young and innocent, and we're clinging or have clinged or attached ourselves to these people who are our first bullies, these people who are our first abusers, whether that's verbally, emotionally, mentally, so forth. Physically, and, it can go on and on. And so, through that, we develop a pattern. We develop this, our brain, our mind, our bodies store the trauma, whether we knew it or not. And, that played a lot of, how we developed into our adulthood. And that's when I had to realize, like, how much I was repressed or have repressed, and realize, like, in those moments, I had no one to calm me down. And that's even a topic I talked about before. Like, if you from the South or been in these environments where there's a lot of religion has been pushed on a lot of our mothers, and so a lot of them didn't really experience a lot of, not so everyone, but due to their own traumas and unhealed aspects of them, they really never got embraced as well. They never, some of them have been around also conflict-driven environments, people yelling and screaming. And so I couldn't ignore that. Now that I highlighted, I'm like, my grandmother, from my mother to my grandmother, that was verbal abuse. So I never really had, when I was younger, someone to embrace me after me crying, or someone to soothe me or calm me down. So I myself, as a man, have experienced so much with women that I'm not blaming, I'm not pointing the finger, I'm acknowledging and taking, acknowledging what I've experienced and seeing where my traumas begin, where the pain began, and how that became a pattern of, more traumatic experience, more projections, more abuse, and so forth. And then I had to be the one to acknowledge my role and acknowledge what happened, have those talks with them, whether uncomfortable or not. And not all of them were, well or whatever, but it just really helped me grant myself the grace to move forward and to now be speaking about it. So, and I'll read more, keep going on this, as the wind picks up. That's the communication coming in. But yeah, I want y'all to ponder on that. It says, when we're terrified, nothing calms us like a reassuring voice. Yo, when I reflect on my journey, sit down, shut up, be quiet, rah, 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 cut, all that is stored in the body. That is a program in the mind. And so for me to be where I am now to even talk about this, like, yo, it still comes up. The memories of those things I face in relationships. Like, literally, like how something can be triggered is like you're in a relationship with someone, and soon as someone talks to you, or it immediately reminds you of something you dealt with in your childhood. It can be anyone. She can be the prettiest and have all this money, he and so forth. But soon as someone yells or certain things, that is a triggering. That can highlight something that you thought that would have never prompted you to even react, shut down, and so forth. And I'm going to get into that. And so these are the things, again, that we have ignored, or we thought that was not stored within the body. I'm telling you, let me get on. Frightened adults respond to the same confronts as terrified children. Comforts. I apologize. Frightened adults respond to the same comforts as terrified children. Gentle holding and rocking and assurance that somebody bigger and stronger is taking care of things. So you safely go to sleep. Man, I reflect on my past and everything. And I sit there, I was telling someone, I'm like, yo, I see it. I realized like what I attracted in relationships and so forth. I was like, this emotional security, stability, this emotional assurance and so forth, all the things that I did not receive in my childhood and all the things that I realized I've attracted in my current and or past relationships reflect everything that I could not run from, or everything that was stored in my body, or everything that I received in my childhood. And then carrying that, you know, those traumas in the body, those experiences, those things subconsciously in the mind, and then it replaying. And I'm sitting here like, yo, like, now I see why, even no matter how big I am, I'm just as terrified as a little child. And I will see that in relationships. When some people will, you know, I've had things to where I was yelled at, and it's not at all putting it on one person. I'm talking about my experience, where I was yelled at, and my response will be like a fight or flight. I would either, you know, jump up, either yell back, or, you know, I would go into this panic, and it would be the little child in me, like afraid, scared. Or sometimes I would just shut down completely in a response to get a reaction or so forth. It's so many things that go along with it. And so in me reflecting back, there was never like any gentle holding or just assuring that whomever it was, like, that everything was okay. It says, in order to recover, mind, body, and the brain need to be convinced that it is safe to let go. And what I got from that, I'm like, let go of what you're feeling, let go of the emotion and so forth. It says the mind, body, and the brain. And I'm saying, I'm like, yo, if we look at societally, or man, if we look at even the media, if we look at a lot of this stuff, I can see how even the relationships with things that surround us, the distractions, how it literally is programmed to trigger those responses in our bodies. One thing I tell you about is like growing up in a conflict-driven home, thinking that violence was something that, again, due to programming, due to things that I experienced, fight or flight, to where sometimes it was never my intention to get aggressive. It would be what I was feeling because I didn't know how to navigate the emotion. And so with that, after a while, I start to see now, as I'm becoming more aware and at peace, you know, gradually through the years, I look through social media and see the corruption of how certain things are brought on your feed, whether violence or certain things, and that can be a trigger response as well because you're seeing it with your eyes and you're hearing it. From experience of living beside people, I remember when I was in childhood that we had people in the apartment above us, and it was always noise and fighting, or our apartment would be noise and fighting. And so you were in a childhood, you're developing this, you're thinking this is normal. And not realizing this shit catch up with you as you get of age. I'm sitting here like, yo, I never wanted peace in a home so much. But that doesn't mean certain things still don't come up around it. Like I'm still at the moment, like having a transition through it. There has been like in the past, like neighbors that will hit the wall, or you will hear someone, and don't ask me why, but the memory of what I experienced in the childhood comes up. Like with my mom, or, you know, the fighting and stuff. And I immediately, like, sometimes, depending on who I'm around, like I'll shut down, or it'll bring up some type of emotion in me related to that trauma. So as much as I thought I could run from it or get away from it, a lot of that, again, trauma is not just in the body, but it's the mind replaying it. You know, that memory, and then the emotion can come up in the body. So a lot of things we assume we face, we haven't. And that's what I'm seeing with myself. I'm like, yo, I don't want no parts of drama. You know, I deserve to live in harmony, peace, fun, you know, prosperity. Because if we reflect societally, it doesn't reflect none of that. None of it reflects. And this is why I be so called in nature, because when I look at it, I'm able to see the naturalness of how creation and chaos, or the natural flow of life, to where, yeah, the water is there, but it still creates some type of the flow of it, but it's still, you know, erosion happens, or certain things, you know, the natural order of things, like things that have to eat, so forth, you know, the natural unfolding of life. And with that, it just shows how everything has its order or its purpose. But when I'm looking at how the programming of what we have been to believe that we are as human beings, when you look at societally, when you look at the greed, when you look at a lot of these things, it's like purposely put there, or has the powers that were purposely, you know, it was designed that way to keep so much of an imbalance and people not to be in harmony. So when I'm reading about even these relationships, you gotta, you know, the environments that our mothers and fathers were around, them being in having militant backgrounds, or, you know, things that they didn't even realize they carried on in their body, and that's been stored in their mind and so forth. So a lot of their actions, or a lot of things that they reflect, has a lot to do with what's going on internally. And they never had no one to sit down with them and talk about these traumas, talk about what's going on in their mind, because immediately there's a lot to do with the corruption with medication, or this person is not in their right mind. You know, never really getting to the root of what it really is going on, and what this person, how do they come to this current state of being in their life. And so I'm gonna read on more, and it talks about how, again, me talking about, like, you know, just reading that sentence, the third or fourth, says, frightened adults respond to the same comforts as a terrified child. Now, when we look at societally, that reflects everything. I don't care if you're 70, 80, 40, 30, whatever. There are certain things that frightens you, or there's certain things that highlights you. People that go have PTSD, anxiety, a lot of these things can be prompted to connect to something, whether childhood or something they've experienced, either the past to present. And based off my things, I realized how much of my relationships have reflected so much of those things traumatically, whether in the body, the mind, and so forth. Because even though my body may shut down in a way where I may not respond or want to react, I could be trying to replay about what has happened in this previous relationship, or what has happened in the past. So continuing that, it says, let's see. In order to recover, mind, body, and brain need to be convinced that it is safe to let go. That happens only when you feel safe. And allow yourself to connect to the senses of safety with memories of past helplessness. And so, like, can we really say, and this is something I'm learning to reestablish in my life, is to feel safe and not feeling like I gotta protect myself from the world. To feel safe as a man. And not just in the environments I grew up in. I'm talking about in a country. I'm talking about in environments. I'm talking about around the people that I felt that should have protected me, that said they loved me. You know, feeling safe again within myself, feeling secure, feeling stable emotionally, mentally, so forth. And it says, after an acute trauma like assault, an accident, or natural disaster, survivors require a presence of a familiar people, faces, and voices. And it's wild, yo, that's wild, because even a lot of things I went through with, let's say, relationship with women or relationships with people, it's like a natural thing to call out to my mother, or to try to feel that sense of safety again, because that's naturally like our safe haven, or for some of us that either had our mother, but for me, it's different because of the trauma I experienced with my mom. And the painful experiences with that is that I could not run back to that, because me trying to go back is in a sense of like trying to recover or receive this nurturing, this acceptance, this approval, or that comfort or that reassurance. It said, well, hold on, reassurance, and again, that to be embraced. So I would naturally, want to do that, but I knew the deep acceptance that I knew it wasn't there. It wasn't available. And presently, it's still not available. So that has been a very challenging thing and difficult thing for me, because I can't ignore the red flags. I can't ignore the signs that this person really hasn't accepted and healed or really faced these traumas within themselves. And so through that, I can no longer fool myself. So it's like, you come to a place where you cut ties, because in actuality, you're moving forward in life and you're trying to progress. And you also, myself trying to make peace and talk about these things finally to where I'm feeling safe again. And realizing like there was never a support system there. And I can't ignore that there still is one, because they're not facing the healing. They're not facing the things within themselves. They're not wanting to, or feel like they need to, when it comes to therapy and so forth. So, oh man, all right, and that's one of the deep acceptance I realize currently right now, because of the relationship I see now developing with my daughter, my princess, is because it highlights everything around that, to see even how I'm showing up with the things I've ignored, or the things that have been passed generationally to me, and the things generationally that I have to change as a man that represent and reflects the patriarchal, so that no longer continues through that process to the princess, because that turning point in my life is that I have to choose that if I see what my mom went through, I have a responsibility now not to continue that, not just with the relationship I had with, my princess's mother, but the daughter, because that's even more of a responsibility as well. It goes hand in hand. And so again, what was I at? That was the deep acceptance with that. It's like really for a lot of us to realize that we really didn't have that support, and the support is not there. It was really never support from the get-go, because we can't ignore the signs that these people are never, or like honestly not going to try to change their ways, and this is why, like, are we gonna change it? Or my butt has become so numb. And so that's when the change really has to come with us. That's when it really becomes uncomfortable. Where was I at? Yeah, that right there, man. After the acute trauma like an assault, accident, and natural disasters, survivors require the presence of a familiar face, people, voices, physical contact, food, shelter, and a safe place and a time to rest. It is critical to communicate with loved ones close and far, and to reunite as soon as possible with family and friends in a place that feels safe. I cannot honestly say that I had that, because when I try to create these environments, for some of us, or I speak for myself, it has been shunned, or it has been like pushed aside. Things where you're trying to be a truth teller, or some may say black sheep, when you even try to speak up about these things regarding the trauma in the family, or just things that have been passed down that that as a generational curse breaker that you have to change, that shit can be shunned. It can be you can be outcasted, you can be purposely attacked, neglected, abandoned in every way. I experienced it like firsthand, where I would talk about certain things and I was immediately like, from experience, like put out right away from, again, the people that I needed the support from, or I feel that other people needed the support as well through whatever traumas. So me reading that, you know, I can see how some people naturally, like it says, like from those experiences, you know, to want to reconnect or connect with those people. For me, it's different, and it's also been a challenge because, you know, it's not as always easy because some folks are not open to that due to their own traumatic experiences. It is critical to communicate to loved ones close and far and reunite as soon as possible with family and friends in a place that feels safe. Our attachment bonds are our greatest protections against threat. For example, children who are separated from their parent affect after traumatic events are likely to suffer serious negative long-term effects. Study conducts, okay, I ain't gonna go into that because that talks about some world war or some other stuff. But yo, I just realized, like, for me, and that's why I'm gonna just give y'all today because it's so much more. But well, I might read a little bit more in regards to that. But there's so much more, like, with that, again, the safety thing, the safety net. From my own experience, I cannot say I had that. And that's what kind of, like, before I arrived here, like, what kind of, like, troubled me the most and what was really frustrated. Like, when I talk about this healing journey, what was really frustrated about and what really angered me was that I really didn't have, and you know, this ain't no playing victim, but this is this reality. It's like I know myself, I really did not have that support from the matriarchal as I wish I should have in the past. And that's what really, like, bothered me and angered me a lot, because again, this is a place where you felt like you should have felt safe, secure, and this is your place of stability as a child. We moved around a lot, you know, when I was young, and a lot of that was due to either substance abuse or a lot of trauma related things with my mom, and even a lot to do with her relationships. What else? And then that, you know, that put a lot of baggage on my grandmother, because here she is, and you can see this like a trend in the past where you would see a lot of people who dealt with a lot of traumas. A lot of them would put their burdens off on the grandmother, like, which is wild. Like, they would put a lot of, like, you would see this typically in a lot of melanated communities, but they would put like a lot of, you know, things off on the grandmothers. And what that does is that they don't even give room, that don't even give room to a lot of these grandmothers to heal or to face a lot of things. So that continues another loop, or, you know, a cycle of dysfunctionality or resentment is created. And I saw that a lot with my grandmother, even though she never talked about it. She just knew that if nobody's gonna take care of them kids, you know, she kind of was the only one that was there to be of support. And I've seen that, man, like, and it's not cool at all, because again, you can see the resentment grow, them never really having a chance to liberate and feel free or to even be themselves. So there's a lot of things and patterns that have been developed to where them, you know, not whatever they experience with men, them not ever knowing what it was to feel safe again. And then some of them now, again, my previous video, some of their safety nets has a lot to do with religion, because of, you know, that father wound. And so when I reflect on a lot of this, man, it really brings up a lot of anger, resentment, that a lot of things that I trust when it came to women. This was never my intention. I just realized within myself that when it comes to me as a man, a lot of us feel this way. A lot of us probably don't even know how to regulate it. A lot of us probably don't even know where it came from or stemmed from and the root cause. And these are the women that are dealing with men such as myself in the past, or have dealt with men, and they have no idea. And this is why I'm sharing it with y'all, because you know, you're dealing with men that, again, that have had or have developed what they call mommy issues or mother wounds. And in reality, they don't know how to face that shit. They haven't really gotten therapy because either we have nowhere to go, we have no guidance, or there hasn't been a support system for these things to even take place. Just be honest, like, that's just what it is. I've had to do a lot of this shit for myself. I was like, and it hasn't been just easy. And let me say you something. It's still, every day is still a new day to face either some type of trauma, some type of something, and to navigate my emotions. Every day is a new day to still be joyful, trying to learn to be joyful and happy again. Every day. I'm not at all going to pretend in front. Every day is me learning now to try to recover my childhood, you know, joy, innocence, purity, you know, to recover that. And the only way to recover that is from learning from the traumas that has been stored in the body, the mind, and, you know, and so forth. Like, I cannot ignore the things that I went through and see how, you know, the things in my past, and see how that has not affected, you know, had a ripple effect on my relationships, current relationships, even my present relationship with myself, most importantly, and moving forward. So I get on here to let people know, like, the accountability starts with you first. The acknowledgement starts with you first before you can even think about, you know, this illusion, or these fake ass people trying to give off this illusion of trying to think that they can give you all the answers, and they really are within you. It's not to say you don't get clarity from the signs around you and whatever. To each his own. I can't tell you about that. But from my own experience and what I'm currently experiencing, it's a day-to-day process, yo. And everyone is uniquely different. That's what makes us beautiful. It's a day-to-day process of me learning that, wow, I thought I was past this, or wow, this comes up. And it can be very frustrating and challenging trying to navigate the emotion, because sometimes I don't know what career I'm being led into, the unknown. Like, I don't know what is this calling me to do? You know, is this my calling, my purpose? But there's still a knowingness there to where I know I'm currently where I'm supposed to be. And I love what I do. And I love doing this. And so a part of that and communicating it is that we all going through some shit. We all going through something. We all trying to navigate something. Because when there's this, then we sit here like, oh my gosh, there's another layer. There's another layer. But it's like learning, what I realize is like the balance of being somewhere where I could really have no distractions, and then allow myself to feel, allow myself to be still, allow myself to really process what it is I'm feeling. In the car, around, you know, whether around people or not, it's, you know, I can just realize, am I really, ask myself, am I being, from having been and being around people who have been so inauthentic and fake and lied to themselves, and been in careers and been in environments and people pleasing, basically all centered around this whole false narrative of who they are. And then now the divine reaches in, grabs me, and like removes me and put me in this place. Not that I'm higher or above no one. It's just like from a bird's eye view. And I'm able to look and be like, he's like, this was you a part of. Let me strip you of everything that what you thought was really who you are. And that's what happens when you're going through this journey of healing and facing shit. You are stripped of the identity, the person, and so forth that you thought you were. The name, all that stuff that you thought you became, the mask that you kept on for so long, you are stripped of that shit. All of that is removed. And then the divine will put you in a place, seclude yourself, and put you in a place where, like, okay, let me show you, not only this ain't who they are, but this is not who you are. And so evolution shows you through the metaphysical aspect of everything is that, yes, that's who you were, but at the same moment, this is who I'm calling you to be, or who you know yourself to really be. Can you accept that? Will you accept that? And then in accepting that, are you willing to let go and be stripped of all these things, materialistically, environmentally, economically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, all of it, to be birthed anew? That's what the rebirthing process, the phoenix, the evolution of that. And in that, can you accept that these people are going to never have access to you the same again, or never see you the same again, or they're going to perceive you and have their own perspective and opinion on, well, I know them to be this and I know them to be that? Can you accept that they're still, again, haven't faced their own traumas, or haven't faced their own shadows? Their insecurities that they have has nothing to do with you. Are you willing to accept that? Are you willing to accept these terms and conditions as this being, as this person that is willing to change and is, willing to go through those uncomfortable moments and come out on the other side? And all you may have is just peace. And then you got to restart and rebuild a foundation that's solid, because everything that you thought you was a part of and everything that you assumed that was giving you that you thought that was fulfilling was a lie. Or it served you to an extent, but at the same moment, it was built upon sand. Or can you realize that you was a part of something that I put you here purposely to create a whole different narrative? I put you here purposely not to become conformed, because I knew I was protecting you from something that was crumbling. But are you still going to hold on? Or are you still going to fight it? Telling you, man, it's we all experiencing something on different levels, consciously, whatever you want to perceive it as, some type of different awareness, whether people are going through religious belief, value systems, everything is being reestablished everywhere, inwardly and outwardly. So a part of that, I realize, is really accepting the role. Like, can I be willing and grant myself the grace to get through this? It's going to be uncomfortable as shit, but can I do this? Am I ready for these people that I felt that thought that loved me the most, that abused me? And that, matter of fact, I'm going to read that before I go. It talks about that. In our society, the most common traumas in women and children occur at the hands of their parents or intimate partners. Child abuse, molestation, and domestic violence are all inflicted by people who are supposed to love you. That knocks out the most important protection against being traumatized, being sheltered by the people you love. And from that, I can put myself at the fact and acknowledge my own shit, because me acknowledging and accepting that's when the healing begins. That's when I realized the healing began, is that reading that, I realized I was either one of those children that experienced that, or my mama or my grandmother. Either they experienced it at the hands of their caregivers or their intimate partners, and whether it be child abuse, molestation, verbal abuse, domestic violence, again, from somebody who said they loved them, from somebody who said they cared about them, would protect them, and so forth. And what it says after that, that knocks out the most important protection against being traumatized. Because from experience, recycling it, acknowledging it now, I asked myself, like, yo, it really showed me, like, the trauma bonding that I've experienced, the trauma bonding even in past relationships that I've continued, the pattern, and to where I realized, like, I have to acknowledge, I have to remove and wipe my eyes and be like, I can no longer say I didn't see this shit, or that I didn't want to acknowledge it. No, then who am I fooling? Isn't that still trauma bonding by trying to tell this person, oh yeah, you can have kids, or that's your mother, that's your da-da-da-da. But when you acknowledge it, that's also acknowledging the wound. That's also saying that I see this, so I cannot unsee it. But that's the thing that, again, has been so programmed in society. It's like people are so fearful to talk about the things that are uncomfortable, because the truth in reality does hurt a lot of people, because that truth, it highlights or it shows that that wound is there, or it shows that there's something there that we've been running from, or we say we're afraid of, until we actually face it, until we actually embrace that wound, until we actually embrace that wound, nurture that wound. And that's really what a lot of us didn't have. But then our inner child is calling us to nurture, to be embraced. Our inner child, that little boy and girl within us. Because we know we didn't get it from the ones that supposed to protected us. And I can sit here and say, like, reading that, I either saw my mother, like, again, somebody went through that. Because my mother was a child, or my grandmother was a child. You see how generationally? And I got to decide within myself as a man who reflects both the feminine and masculine principles, who also represent the patriarchal, who also has a role and a responsibility to enable all the women and men who represent either the matriarchal or patriarchal. What am I the fuck enabling? What am I enabling? People to heal, to face themselves, to accept these things so they can live a more prosperous, harmonious, and peaceful life? Because the things we convinced ourselves of, we're not even living in if we really haven't faced it or embraced it. I'm going to leave y'all with that. And I got to enjoy this. I'll let y'all get another good shot of this. I'm out of here. Peace and bliss. Shalom.